Commander Hyunwoo stared at the main screen on the bridge of the damaged cruiser Defiance. Red warning lights flashed everywhere. The ship shook as another explosion hit the hull. Around him, his crew worked hard to keep the ship fighting. "Sir, we lost contact with the Thunder Bay," said So Young, his tactical officer. Her voice was calm, but Hyunwoo could see the worry in her eyes. "That makes 7 ships we lost today." Hyunwoo nodded. The war against the Vorthak Empire had been going on for 200 years. The aliens were winning. They always won. They had bigger ships, better weapons, and they never seemed to run out of soldiers. The Galactic Coalition had started with hope. Dozens of alien races had joined together to fight the Vorthak. The crystalline Nexari brought their energy shields. The insectoid Kethvar had fast attack ships. Other races contributed what they could. But it was not enough. It was never enough. Earth had joined the war late. Humans had only been in space for a short time when the Vorthak found them. The aliens destroyed 3 human colonies before humanity even knew there was a war going on. Now, 50 years later, human ships fought alongside their alien allies. But they were losing just like everyone else. "Jinho is asking to speak with you, sir," said the communications officer. "Put him through," Hyunwoo said. The grizzled Marine sergeant appeared on a small screen. His armor was dirty and damaged. Behind him, Hyunwoo could see other Marines taking cover from enemy fire. "Commander, we are down to 30% strength," Jinho reported. "The Vorthak are pushing hard on all fronts. Some of the alien units are talking about surrender." Hyunwoo was not surprised. Many coalition species had already given up. The IC, Vorthak offered simple terms: surrender and become slaves or fight and die. More and more races were choosing to become slaves. "Hold your position, Sergeant," Hyunwoo ordered. "Help is coming." Jinho looked doubtful, but he nodded. "Yes, sir. We will hold." The screen went dark. Hyunwoo knew he had lied to his Marines. No help was coming. The Coalition Council had retreated to their last stronghold on Kepler Prime. Most of the fleet was scattered or destroyed. Earth's small navy was fighting desperately in 3 different star systems. "Sir, incoming transmission from Admiral Chen on Kepler Prime," So Young announced. Admiral Chen appeared on the main screen. The old human looked tired. His uniform was wrinkled, and there were dark circles under his eyes. "Hyunwoo, I need your ships to fall back to Kepler Prime immediately," Chen said. "We are preparing for the final defense of the capital." "Admiral, we have civilians on the surface of Rigel 4, Hyunwoo replied. "If we leave now, the Vorthak will kill them all." "I know," Chen said quietly. "But if we lose Kepler Prime, the war is over. We need every ship we can get." Hyunwoo understood. This was what war did to good people. It made them choose between bad options and worse options. Save a few thousand civilians on one planet, or try to save the entire galaxy. "Understood, Admiral. We will begin withdrawal in 6 hours. Make it 4 hours, Commander. The Vorthak main fleet is moving faster than we expected." The transmission ended. Hyunwoo stood up and walked to the front of the bridge. Through the armored windows, he could see the planet below. Rigel 4 was a beautiful world with blue oceans and green continents. Soon the Vorthak would turn it into a wasteland. "So Young, start preparing the evacuation," he ordered. "Get as many people off that planet as possible." "Yes, sir," she replied. The next few hours were chaos. Human and alien ships worked together to evacuate civilians from the surface. The Vorthak attacked constantly, sending waves of fighters and bombers. The Coalition fleet fought back, but they were outnumbered 10-1. Hyunwoo watched his ships take damage and lose crew members. The Bright Star, a Nexari cruiser, exploded when Vorthak missiles hit its energy core. The Swift Hunter, a Kethvar destroyer, rammed a Vorthak battleship to save a transport full of civilians. "Commander, we have rescued 40,000 people," Jinho reported from the surface. "But there are still millions down here." "Load up as many as you can, Sergeant. We have to go." "Sir, the Vorthak are breaking through our defenses. They will be here in 30 minutes. Hyunwoo closed his eyes. 30 minutes to save millions of people. It was impossible. Do what you can, Jinho. We will hold them off as long as possible. The coalition fleet formed a defensive line around the planet. The humans fought beside the Nexari and the Kethvar. They all knew they were going to die, but they kept fighting anyway. The Vorthak fleet was massive. Hundreds of dark ships moved through space like a swarm of deadly insects. Their weapons were bright red beams that cut through coalition ships like paper. Sir, we are taking heavy damage, So Young reported. Hull breaches on decks, 5 through 7. Keep fighting, Hyunwoo ordered. More ships died. The Courage, a human frigate, was torn apart by Vorthak plasma cannons. The Crystal Song, a Nexari dreadnought, was boarded by Vorthak soldiers who killed everyone on board. Commander, we have to go now, the helmsman said. If we stay any longer, we will not make it to Kepler Prime. Hyunwoo knew he was right, but leaving felt like giving up. It felt like betraying everyone on the planet below. Sir, look at this, So Young said suddenly. She was staring at her sensor screen with wide eyes. There is something big coming through hyperspace. Vorthak reinforcements? Hyunwoo asked. No, sir. The energy signature is different. It's huge. On the main screen, space began to twist and bend. A hyperspace portal was opening near the edge of the star system. Whatever was coming through was massive. Bigger than any ship Hyunwoo had ever seen. Are those human identification codes? Asked the communications officer. So Young checked her instruments. Yes, sir. It's broadcasting human military codes. But that's impossible. Earth doesn't have any ships that big. The portal grew larger. Energy crackled around its edges like lightning. The Vorthak fleet had stopped attacking. They were watching too, trying to figure out what was happening. Then it emerged. The ship was 1 kilometer long and covered in armor plating. It had more weapons than some entire fleets. Its hull was painted white and blue, with the symbol of Earth clearly visible on its side. What is that? So Young whispered. Hyunwoo stared at the massive vessel. He had heard rumors during his time at the Naval Academy, stories about a secret project, a ship so big and powerful that it would change the war. But everyone said it was just a dream. That, he said slowly, is humanity's flagship. The giant ship moved toward the battle. Its weapons began to power up, and the energy readings were off the charts. Whatever technology that ship carried, it was far beyond anything the Coalition had ever seen. For the first time in years, Hyunwoo felt something he had almost forgotten. Hope, the Phoenix Ascendant, had arrived. The war was about to change. Captain Min-soo stood on the bridge of the Phoenix Ascendant and looked at the battle ahead. His ship was the largest vessel ever built by human hands. For 150 years, Earth's best engineers had worked on this project. Now it was time to see if their work would save the galaxy. All stations report ready, Captain, said Yoonji, his chief engineer. She was young for such an important job, but she knew the ship better than anyone. The fusion cores are running at full power. All weapon systems are online. Thank you, Yoonji, Min-soo replied. He turned to his weapons officer. Dong-hyun, target the Vorthak battleships. Show them what human firepower can do. Yes, sir, Dong-hyun said with a grin. He had been waiting for this moment his entire career. Targeting 6 enemy capital ships, all batteries ready to fire. The bridge was quiet except for the hum of computers and life support systems. 50,000 crew members worked throughout the massive ship. They were the best humans that Earth could provide. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, and pilots, all of them had trained for this day. Boram, set course for the enemy fleet, Min-soo ordered his navigator. Take us right into the middle of them. Sir? Boram looked confused. That will put us under fire from all directions. That's the plan, Min-soo said calmly. The Vorthak are used to enemies who run away. Today, they meet humans. The Phoenix Ascendant moved forward. It was not fast like a destroyer or graceful like a cruiser. It moved like a mountain flying through space, slow, steady, and unstoppable. On the Coalition ships, crews watched in amazement. They had never seen anything like the human flagship. Its hull was covered with advanced armor made from materials found in destroyed Vorthak ships. human scientists, had studied every piece of alien technology they could find. Then they had made it better. "Captain, the Coalition fleet is requesting orders," said the communications officer. "Tell them to follow us in," Minsu replied. "It's time to take the fight to the enemy." Commander Hyunwoo received the message on his damaged cruiser. He could not believe what he was seeing. The human flagship was charging straight at the Vorthak fleet. It looked like suicide, but there was something about the way it moved that made him think otherwise. "All ships follow the flagship," Hyunwoo ordered. "Form up behind the Phoenix Ascendant." The Coalition fleet moved forward. Human, Nexari, and Kethvar ships flew together. They had been losing for so long that they had forgotten what it felt like to attack instead of just defend. On the flagship, Wu Jin was preparing his Marines for combat. He was a tough soldier who had fought the Vorthak for 20 years. His men trusted him completely. "Listen up," he told his troops. "We are going to board enemy ships and show them what happens when you mess with humans. The Vorthak think they are the best fighters in the galaxy. Today we prove them wrong." The Marines cheered. They were ready to fight. "Sir, the Vorthak fleet is changing formation," Boram reported. "They are moving to surround us." "Let them come," Minsu said. "Donghyun, fire when ready." The first shots from the Phoenix Ascendant lit up space. Massive energy beams struck Vorthak ships with incredible force. The flagship's weapons were unlike anything the aliens had seen before. Instead of the weak lasers used by most Coalition ships, humans had built plasma cannons that could punch through the strongest armor. A Vorthak battleship exploded in a ball of fire, then another. The enemy ships began firing back, but their shots bounced off the flagship's advanced shields. "Yunji, how are our defenses holding?" Minsu asked. "Shields are at 90%, she replied. "The Vorthak weapons are barely making a dent." The flagship continued forward, its guns blazing. Behind it, the Coalition fleet followed. For the first time in the war, they had a ship that could match the enemy's firepower. "Tae-young, launch all fighters," Minsu ordered. Tae-young was the leader of the flagship's fighter squadrons. He had been born on a space station and had been flying since he was 12 years old. "Roger that, Captain. All squadrons launching now." Thousands of small fighters poured out of the Phoenix Ascendant's launch bays. They were faster and more advanced than any Coalition fighters before them. Each one was equipped with AI systems that helped the pilots target enemy ships. The Vorthak had ruled space for centuries because they had better technology. But humans had spent 150 years studying that technology. They had learned its weaknesses and built ships that could exploit them. "Young Mai, coordinate our attacks with the Coalition fleet," Minsu ordered his tactical officer. Young Mai was a genius at battle strategy. She could see patterns in combat that others missed. "Yes, sir. Sending targeting data to all Coalition ships." The human flagship shared its advanced sensors with the entire Coalition fleet. Suddenly, every ship knew exactly where to aim for maximum damage. The Vorthak had never faced such coordinated attacks. A Vorthak dreadnought tried to ram the flagship. Minsu watched it approach without fear. "Jae-hyun, use the solar lance," he ordered. Jae-hyun was in charge of the flagship's most powerful weapon. The solar lance was an experimental cannon that had never been tested in battle, but the engineers promised it could destroy any ship with one shot. "Charging solar lance," Jae-hyun reported. "Target locked." The weapon fired. A beam of pure energy shot across space and struck the Vorthak dreadnought. The massive alien ship split in half and exploded. "Direct hit," Jae-hyun shouted. "That weapon works even better than we hoped." The battle was turning. The Vorthak fleet, which had seemed invincible just minutes before, was falling apart. Their ships exploded one after another. The aliens had never faced an enemy that fought like humans. Most species in the galaxy fought defensively. They tried to avoid damage and preserve their ships. Humans fought differently. They charged straight at the enemy and traded shot for shot. They were willing to take damage to deal damage. "Sir, 3 Vorthak cruisers are trying to escape," Boram reported. "Don't let them get away," Minsu ordered. "Young Mi, can our fighters catch them?" "Already on it, Captain. Tae-young's squadrons are pursuing." The human fighters chased the fleeing Vorthak ships. They were faster than the alien cruisers and caught them quickly. The enemy ships were destroyed before they could jump to hyperspace. On the Coalition ships, alien crews watched in amazement. They had fought the Vorthak for 200 years and had never seen them retreat. The legendary alien empire was running away from humans. "Captain, we are receiving surrender signals from 12 Vorthak ships," the communications officer reported. Minsu was surprised. In all the years of war, the Vorthak had never surrendered. They always fought to the death. "Accept their surrender," he ordered. "But keep our weapons trained on them. This might be a trick." The battle was over in less than 2 hours. The massive Vorthak fleet had been destroyed or captured. The Coalition had won their first major victory in decades. "Sir, incoming. Transmission from the Coalition fleet," Youngmi announced. "Put it on the main screen," Minsu said. Commander Hyunwoo appeared on the screen. Behind him, Minsu could see the bridge of the damaged cruiser Defiance. But now the human commander was smiling. "Captain Minsu, I don't know where you came from, but I'm glad you're here," Hyunwoo said. "How is this possible? Earth never told us about a ship like this." Minsu smiled back. "We've been building her for a long time, Commander. Earth knew that someday we would need a ship that could end this war. Today is that day." The Phoenix Ascendant had announced humanity's arrival on the galactic stage. The Vorthak Empire was about to learn that humans were not like other species. They did not give up, they did not surrender, and they had come to win. The news of the victory at Rigel 4 spread across the galaxy like wildfire. For the first time in 200 years, the Vorthak Empire had been defeated in open battle. The impossible had happened, and everyone wanted to know how. Captain Minsu stood in the war room of the Phoenix Ascendant with his senior officers. The massive ship was moving toward the next target, a Vorthak stronghold in the Centauri system. Intelligence reports show 50 Vorthak ships defending the system, Youngmi explained, pointing at the holographic display. "They have 3 battle stations and orbital weapons platforms around the main planet." 50 ships, repeated Tae-young, the fighter squadron leader. "My pilots are ready, Captain. We proved at Rigel 4 that we can handle anything the Vorthaki throw at us." Minsu nodded. The victory had given his crew confidence, but he knew the Vorthak would not make the same mistakes twice. They would be ready this time. "Yoonji, how are our repairs coming?" he asked his chief engineer. "All systems are running perfectly, sir," she replied. "The armor held up well in the last battle. Only minor damage to the outer hull. The solar lance is ready for another shot." "Good. Woojin, what about your Marines?" The grizzled Marine commander grinned. "My boys are itching for a fight, Captain. We've been practicing boarding techniques. The Vorthak won't know what hit them." Minsu looked around the room at his officers. They were all young by military standards, but they were the best Earth had to offer. Each one had trained for years to serve on this ship. "Remember, our mission is not just to win battles," he said. "We're here to end this war. Every Vorthak ship we destroy is one less ship that can attack innocent civilians. Every planet we free is another victory for the Coalition." The Phoenix Ascendant dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Centauri system. The Vorthak were indeed ready for them. Their ships were arranged in a defensive formation around the planet. The battle stations had their weapons pointed toward the human flagship. "Sir, they're hailing us," the communications officer reported. "Put it through," Minsu ordered. A Vorthak commander appeared on the main screen. The alien was tall and thin, with dark scales and red eyes. It spoke in the harsh language of its species, but the computer translated its words. "Human vessel, you will surrender immediately or be destroyed. The victory at Rigel 4 was luck. It will not happen again." Minsu stood up and faced the screen. "I am Captain Minsu of the Earth vessel Phoenix Ascendant. We're here to liberate this system from your occupation. Surrender now, and your crews will be treated well." The Vorthak commander made a sound that might have been laughter. "Humans are weak. You cannot stand against the might of the Empire. Prepare to die." The transmission ended. Minsu turned to his crew. "Well, you heard him," he said calmly. "Let's show him how wrong he is. All stations, prepare for battle." The Vorthak attacked first. Energy beams and missiles flew across space toward the human flagship, but the Phoenix Ascendant was ready. Its shields absorbed the incoming fire while its own weapons began to charge. Jae-hyun, target the lead battle station with the solar lance, Min-soo ordered. Charging now, sir, the weapons officer replied. 30 seconds to full power. The Vorthak ships moved closer, trying to surround the flagship. But Min-soo had learned from the last battle. He kept his ship moving, never letting the enemy get a clear shot at his weakest points. Solar lance ready to fire, Jae-hyun announced. Fire! The experimental weapon shot across space and struck the Vorthak battle station. The massive structure exploded in a brilliant flash of light. Pieces of wreckage scattered in all directions. Direct hit, Jae-hyun shouted. 1 battle station down, 2 to go. The human fighters launched from their bays and swarmed toward the enemy fleet. Tae-young led his squadrons with skill and courage, dodging enemy fire while striking at Vorthak weak points. This is Eagle Leader to all squadrons, he said over the radio. Remember your training. Hit them fast and get out. Don't let them surround. You. The fighters moved like a deadly dance through space. They were faster than the Vorthak ships and used that speed to stay alive. Each pilot was linked to the flagship's AI systems, giving them information about enemy movements before the aliens even knew where they were going. On the surface of the planet below, Vorthak ground forces watched the battle in space. They had conquered this world 5 years ago and turned its people into slaves. Now for the first time they saw their mighty fleet being challenged. Ki-woo, prepare your drop pods, Woo-jin ordered over the communication system. We're going down to the surface. Ki-woo was one of Woo-jin's best sergeants. He had volunteered for the most dangerous mission of all, landing on an enemy planet and fighting the Vorthak on the ground. Copy that, sir, Ki-woo replied. My team is ready. We'll secure a landing zone for the main force. The drop pods launched from the flagship like shooting stars. They fell through the planet's atmosphere and crashed into the surface near a Vorthak military base. The aliens had never faced human ground forces before. Ki-woo and his Marines emerged from their pods with weapons ready. The Vorthak soldiers rushed to meet them, expecting an easy victory. They were wrong. Humans fought differently than other species. Most aliens tried to avoid casualties and preserve their forces. Humans fought like cornered animals. They were willing to take risks that other species would never consider. Grenades out, Ki-woo shouted. The human explosives scattered the Vorthak forces. The Marines advanced quickly using cover and teamwork to outmaneuver their enemies. Within minutes they had captured the landing zone and were calling for reinforcements. In space, the battle continued. The Phoenix Ascendant was surrounded by enemy ships, but its advanced armor and shields kept it safe. The flagship's weapons fired continuously, destroying Vorthak vessels one after another. Second battle station is powering up its main gun, Youngmi reported. It's targeting our engines. Evasive maneuvers, Min-soo ordered. Dong-hyun, return fire with all forward batteries. The flagship's guns blazed. Plasma beams and missile salvos struck the battle station's shields. The Vorthak structure was heavily armored, but human weapons were designed to penetrate even the strongest defenses. Their shields are down, Dong-hyun announced. One more hit should do it. Jae-hyun, solar lance ready? Min-soo asked. Charged. And ready, Captain. Fire! The second battle station exploded in a shower of metal and energy. The Vorthak fleet was now down to regular ships and one remaining battle station. Tae-young's fighters had been busy too. They had destroyed 12 Vorthak cruisers and were chasing the survivors around the system. The alien pilots were skilled, but they had never faced such aggressive tactics. Eagle Leader to Phoenix Actual, Tae-young reported. We have the remaining enemy fighters on the run. They're trying to retreat to the far side of the system. Negative, Eagle Leader, Min-soo replied. Don't let them escape. We need to send a message to the Vorthak Empire. Copy that, sir. Pursuing enemy fighters. On the planet's surface, more human troops were landing. The Vorthak ground forces were being pushed back on all fronts. They had superior numbers, but the humans fought with a determination that the aliens had never encountered. This is Ground Team Alpha, Ki-woo reported. We've secured the slave camps on the southern continent. The prisoners are free, but they're in bad shape. Wu Jin was angry when he heard about the conditions in the camps. The Vorthak had treated the captured civilians terribly. This was why the war had to be won. "Secure the area and set up medical stations," he ordered. "Help is on the way." The last Vorthak battle station made a desperate attack on the flagship. Its massive guns fired everything they had at the human ship. But the Phoenix Ascendant was built to take punishment. Its armor held, and its shields absorbed the worst of the damage. "Hull breach on Deck 12, Yunji reported. Emergency teams are responding. Damage is minimal." "Return fire," Minsu ordered. "And this." The solar lance fired for the third time in the battle. The last battle station disappeared in a ball of fire. The Vorthak fleet was broken. Most of their ships had been destroyed, and the survivors were trying to escape. "Sir, 15 Vorthak ships are requesting permission to surrender," the communications officer reported. Minsu was surprised again. This was the second battle where Vorthak forces had surrendered instead of fighting to the death. Maybe they were finally learning that humans could not be beaten. "Accept their surrender," he ordered. "But keep our weapons ready." The Battle of Centauri was over. Another major Vorthak fleet had been destroyed. Another planet had been liberated. The news would spread across the galaxy, and more species would join the coalition. But Minsu knew this was just the beginning. The Vorthak Empire was vast, with thousands of ships and hundreds of conquered worlds. The war was far from over. However, for the first time in 2 centuries, the galaxy had hope. The human flagship had shown that the Vorthak could be defeated. Now it was time to prove that they could be destroyed completely. Deep in the heart of Vorthak space, Emperor Kethamor stood in his throne room and watched reports from the front lines. The ancient ruler had led his empire for over 300 years. He had conquered thousands of worlds and enslaved countless species. But now, for the first time in his long life, he was worried. 2 major fleets had been destroyed by a single human ship. The Phoenix Ascendant was cutting through Vorthak forces like they were made of paper. Worse, other coalition species were starting to fight back. The Nexari had launched new attacks in the eastern sectors. The Kethvar were raiding Vorthak supply lines. "Bring me Admiral Thekvar," the Emperor commanded. Admiral Thekvar was the Empire's best military commander. He had never lost a battle in 50 years of service. When he entered the throne room, he knelt before his master. "Rise," Kethmore ordered. "Tell me about these humans." "They fight unlike any species we have encountered," the Admiral reported. "Their ship is heavily armored and carries weapons we have never seen before. But that is not the worst part." "Explain." "They do not fight to survive, my Emperor. They fight to win. When we surround them, they charge forward. When we outnumber them, they become more dangerous. Their tactics make no sense, but they work." The Emperor was quiet for a long moment. In his 3 centuries of rule, he had learned to recognize dangerous enemies. These humans were more than dangerous. They were a threat to everything he had built. "Recall the 3rd, 7th, and 9th fleets," he ordered. "Concentrate them at Vorthak Prime." "My lord, that will leave our outer territories undefended," the Admiral warned. "The outer territories can be retaken. If we lose our homeworld, the Empire dies. Also, prepare the World Ender. It is time to use our ultimate weapon." "Admiral," Thekvar's eyes widened. The World Ender was a moon-sized fortress that could crack planets in half. It had been built in secret over 50 years ago but had never been used in battle. "My Emperor, are you certain? If we deploy the World Ender, the Coalition will know we have planet-killer weapons." "Let them know," Kethmore replied coldly. "Fear is a weapon too. We will make an example that the galaxy will never forget." The Emperor studied star charts on his holographic display. The human homeworld was marked in blue. Earth was the source of this new threat. If he could destroy it, he would break the spirit of the Coalition and end this rebellion. "Take the World Ender to Earth," he commanded. "Destroy their homeworld. Let every species in the galaxy see what happens to those who oppose the Empire." Meanwhile, on the Phoenix Ascendant, Intelligence Officer Subin was working late in her office. She was young and brilliant, one of the best codebreakers in the human fleet. For weeks she had been trying to decrypt captured Vorthak communications. "Captain, you need to see this," she said over the communication system. Captain Min-Soo arrived at her office within minutes. Subin looked worried, which was unusual for her. "What did you find?" he asked. "I broke their military encryption," she replied, showing him a translation on her computer screen. "The Vorthak are recalling their fleets to their homeworld, but that's not the worst part." She brought up another message. This one made Min-Soo's blood run cold. "They have something called the World Ender," Subin continued. "From what I can understand, it's a massive weapon capable of destroying planets. And Captain, they're sending it to Earth." Min-Soo stared at the message. His homeworld was in danger. The planet where he was born, where his family still lived, was about to be attacked by a weapon that could kill billions of people. "How long do we have?" he asked. Subin worked quickly on her calculations. "Based on their fleet movements, maybe 2 weeks, maybe less." Min-Soo activated the ship's communication system. Within minutes, he was speaking to his senior officers in the war room. "The situation has changed," he announced. "The Vorthak are planning to attack Earth with a planet-killer weapon. We need to get home immediately." Young Mai studied the star charts. "Sir, we're 3 weeks away from Earth at maximum hyperspace speed. Even if we leave right now, we might not make it in time." "Then we make a choice," Min-Soo replied. "We can continue our attacks here and hope Earth's defenses can hold, or we race home and try to save our world." "What about the coalition offensive?" asked Wu Jin. "If we leave, the other species might lose their courage to fight." It was a difficult decision. The Phoenix Ascendant was the symbol of hope for the entire coalition. If it disappeared from the front lines, the war effort might collapse. "I'm calling for a vote," Min-Soo announced. "All senior officers will decide. Should we stay and continue the fight or return to defend Earth?" One by one, his officers spoke. Yoonji voted to return home. Her parents lived on Earth. Tae-young wanted to stay and keep fighting. Young Mai was torn but finally chose to defend Earth. Dong-hyun voted to go home. Jae-hyun wanted to stay. When the vote was finished, the decision was clear. They would return to Earth. "Set course for Sol system," Min-Soo ordered. "Maximum hyperspace speed. Send a message to Earth Command, tell them what's coming." The Phoenix Ascendant jumped to hyperspace, racing across the galaxy toward humanity's homeworld. But even at top speed, it would be a close race. On Earth, Admiral Suk-jin received the warning message in his office at Fleet Command. He was an old soldier who had fought in the early years of the war. Now he commanded Earth's orbital defenses. The message from the Phoenix Ascendant was clear. A planet-killer weapon was heading for Earth, and it would arrive before the flagship could get home. Seok-jin looked out his window at the blue sky of Earth. Somewhere up there, beyond the atmosphere, enemy forces were coming to destroy everything he had ever cared about. He activated the Planetary Defense Network. Orbital weapons platforms powered up around the planet. The few remaining ships of Earth's home fleet began taking positions. It wasn't much compared to what was coming, but it was all they had. "Send a message to all coalition forces," he ordered. "Tell them Earth needs help. Any ship that can get here in the next 2 weeks should come immediately." Haewon, the chief medical officer of the Phoenix Ascendant, worked in the ship's main medical bay. She was treating wounded Marines from the last battle when the ship suddenly jumped to hyperspace. She felt the familiar sensation in her stomach that meant they were traveling faster than light. "Where are we going, Doc?" asked a wounded Marine. "Home," she replied quietly. "We're going home." But she wondered if there would be a home to return to. The World Ender was a weapon designed to kill entire planets. If Earth's defenses could not stop it, billions of innocent people would die across the galaxy. Other coalition species heard about the threat to Earth. Some were too far away to help. Others were busy with their own battles against the Vorthak. But a few brave species sent what ships they could spare. The Nexari contributed 12 cruisers. The Kethvar sent their fastest destroyers. Even some of the smaller coalition members sent whatever vessels they had available. It would not be enough to stop the World Ender, but it showed that humanity had earned the respect of their allies. Other species were willing to risk their own ships to defend the human homeworld. The race was on. The World Ender was approaching Earth with its escort fleet of Vorthak warships. The Phoenix Ascendant was racing home as fast as it could travel, and Earth's defenders were preparing for the most important battle in human history. Emperor Kethmore was confident that his plan would work. Once Earth was destroyed, the human spirit would be broken. The coalition would surrender, and his empire would rule the galaxy forever. But he had made one mistake. He had never fought humans defending their home. He was about to learn that there was nothing more dangerous than a species with nothing left to lose. The World Ender appeared at the edge of the Sol system like a dark moon bringing death. The massive fortress was bigger than any ship ever built. Its hull was covered with weapons that could turn planets into dust. Behind it came 300 Vorthak warships, the largest fleet ever assembled. Admiral Seok Jin watched from his command center on Earth's orbital defense station. His small fleet looked tiny compared to what was approaching. 30 human ships, a dozen Nexari cruisers, and 8 Kethavar destroyers, against the mightiest weapon in the Vorthak Empire. "Sir, incoming transmission from the Vorthak flagship," his communications officer reported. "Put it through," Seok Jin ordered. Emperor Kethmore himself appeared on the main screen. The ancient alien ruler looked confident and cruel. "Humans of IT, Earth," he said in his harsh voice. "Your rebellion ends here. Surrender now, and I will make your deaths quick. Resist, and I will make your planet burn slowly." Seok Jin stood up and faced the Emperor. He was just a human admiral facing the ruler of a galactic empire, but he was not afraid. "This is Admiral Seok Jin of Earth Defense Command," he replied. "We will never surrender. If you want our world, you'll have to take it from us." The Emperor's red eyes glowed with anger. "So be it. You will die knowing that your foolish pride destroyed your entire species." The transmission ended. Seok Jin turned to his crew. "All stations, prepare for battle. Send a message to every ship in the fleet. Earth does not surrender. Earth does not retreat. Today we show the galaxy what humans are made of." The World Ender began its approach toward Earth. Its massive guns were already charging. The weapon could destroy the planet from long range, but the Emperor wanted to get close. He wanted the humans to see their death coming. Chang Ho was the communications officer on the Phoenix Ascendant, still racing through hyperspace toward home. He had been sending messages to Earth for hours, trying to coordinate with the defense fleet. "Captain, I have Admiral Seok Jin on the line," he reported. Captain Minsu took the transmission on the bridge. The Admiral's face appeared on the screen, and Minsu could see the determination in the older man's eyes. "Captain, we're holding them off as long as we can," Seok Jin said. "But we need the flagship here soon. How long until you arrive?" 6 hours, Minsu replied. "Maybe 5 if we push the engines past their safety limits. The World Ender will reach firing range in 4 hours. We'll do what we can." The transmission ended. Minsu turned to his engineering officer. "Yunji, I need more speed. Push the engines past the red line if you have to." "Captain, if we do that, we might lose the entire hyperspace drive," she warned. "If we don't get to Earth in time, it won't matter," Minsu replied. The flagship pushed harder through hyperspace. In the engine rooms, human engineers worked desperately to keep the ship together. They knew that their homeworld was counting on them. The first battle began when the Vorthak fleet reached the outer planets of the Sol system. The human defense platforms around Mars opened fire with everything they had. The ancient red planet had been turned into a fortress, covered with missile launchers and energy cannons, but the Vorthak fleet was too strong. They destroyed the Mars defenses in less than an hour and continued toward Earth. The human fleet tried to stop them, but they were outnumbered 10-1. The Courage, a human destroyer, rammed a Vorthak battleship to save a damaged cruiser. The Starlight, a Nexari vessel, used its energy shields to protect human ships from enemy fire. The Kethavar destroyers moved fast and struck hard, but there were too many enemies. On Earth, Da-Un was working as a civilian engineer at the Defense Command Center. She had volunteered to help with the battle preparations, even though she had no military training. "The orbital platforms are taking heavy damage," she reported. "Platform 7 is completely destroyed. Platform 3 has lost main power. Can you reroute power from the civilian grid?" asked Seok-jin. Already working on it, sir, Daeun replied. She was scared, but she kept working. Everyone on Earth was doing their part to defend their world. In space, the battle was getting worse. Human ships exploded one after another. The enemy fleet was too large and too well armed. But the humans kept fighting. They had nowhere to retreat to. Junseo was a rookie pilot flying his first combat mission. He was only 19 years old and had been in the fleet for 6 months. His fighter squadron was trying to attack the World Ender's escort ships. "This is Blue Squadron Leader," his commander said over the radio. "The World Ender is charging its main weapon. We need to slow them down." "Copy that, Leader," Junseo replied. His hands were shaking, but his voice was steady. The human fighters dove toward the massive fortress. The World Ender's point defense systems opened fire, filling space with deadly energy beams. Junseo watched his friends die as their fighters were destroyed around him. "Blue 7, you're taking fire," his wingman warned. "I see it," Junseo replied. He was flying straight at the World Ender's main weapon, carrying the heaviest torpedo his fighter could carry. It probably would not do much damage to such a massive target, but every little bit helped. The point defense systems locked onto his fighter. Energy beams cut through space around him. His fighter was hit and began to lose power. "Blue 7, get out of there," his squadron leader ordered. But Junseo kept flying. He was thinking about his family on Earth. His little sister was only 12 years old. She was counting on him to protect her. "For Earth," he said quietly. "For humanity. No retreat." His damaged fighter crashed into the World Ender's main weapon. The explosion was small compared to the size of the fortress, but it delayed the weapon's firing sequence by precious minutes. "Blue 7 is down," the squadron leader reported sadly. "Good flying, kid." The World Ender was now close enough to Earth to use its planet-killer weapon. The massive gun began to charge again. On the surface, billions of people looked up at the sky and saw their death approaching. But then something appeared at the edge of the system. A massive energy signature was detected coming out of hyperspace. The Phoenix Ascendant had arrived. "Captain." Minsu stood on his bridge and looked at the battle. His homeworld was under attack and the defense fleet was being destroyed. But he was here now, and that changed everything. "All stations, battle stations," he ordered. "Yunji, I need everything the engines can give me. Dong-hyun, charge all. Weapons, we're going to ram our way through that fleet." "Sir, there are 300 enemy ships," Young Mai pointed out. "Then we'll destroy 300 enemy ships," Minsu replied. "No retreat. No surrender. Today we save Earth." The human flagship charged into battle. Its guns blazed as it tore through the Vorthak fleet. The solar lance fired again and again, destroying enemy capital ships. The advanced fighters swarmed around Vorthak vessels like angry hornets, but the World Ender was still charging its main weapon. If it fired, Earth would be destroyed no matter how many ships the flagship killed. "Chang Ho, open a channel to all Earth forces," Minsu ordered. "Channel. Open, sir." Minsu's voice was broadcast to every human ship and every defense station around Earth. "This is Captain Minsu of the Phoenix Ascendant. We are human. We do not yield. We do not break. Today, we show the galaxy that our homeworld will never fall." The broadcast gave new courage to the defenders. Human ships that had been retreating turned around and rejoined the battle. The orbital platforms that still had power opened fire with everything they had left. But the World Ender's weapon was almost ready to fire. The massive gun was pointed directly at Earth's blue surface. Captain Minsu looked at his crew and made the hardest decision of his life. "All hands, this is the captain," he announced over the ship's communication system. "We're going to ram the World Ender. It's the only way to stop them from destroying Earth." The crew was quiet for a moment. Then, one by one, they began to volunteer to stay with the ship. They knew it was a suicide mission, but they were willing to die to save their homeworld. The Phoenix Ascendant turned toward the World Ender and began its final attack run. The Phoenix Ascendant flew toward the World Ender like an arrow aimed at the heart of darkness. On the bridge, Captain Minsu watched as his ship approached the massive fortress. Around him, his crew worked calmly at their stations. knowing they were about to die. Young Sik, maintain course, Minsu ordered his helmsman. Take us straight into their main weapon. Yes, sir, Young Sik replied. His voice was steady, but his hands gripped the controls tightly. He had been flying ships since he was 15 years old. This would be his last flight. Mi Young, how many crew members have evacuated? Minsu asked his executive officer. 15,000 have transferred to the escape pods, sir, she reported. But 35,000 have volunteered to stay with the ship. Minsu was proud of his crew, but also sad. So many good people were going to die. But Earth needed them to make this sacrifice. Captain, the World Ender is firing at us, Dong-hyun announced from his weapons station. Their point defense systems are trying to stop our approach. The massive fortress was throwing everything it had at the approaching human ship. Energy beams and missiles filled the space between them. The Phoenix Ascendant's shields flared as they absorbed hit after hit. Shields down to 60%, Yoonji reported from engineering. Hull breaches on decks 4 through 7. We're losing atmosphere. Seal the damaged sections, Minsu ordered. We just need to hold together long enough to reach the target. On Earth, billions of people watched the battle on their screens. They could see the human flagship charging toward the alien weapon that was about to destroy their world. Many people cried as they realized what the crew of the Phoenix Ascendant was doing. In space stations around the solar system, other human crews watched their flagship's final mission. Admiral Seok Jin stood on his damaged command station and saluted the ship that was about to save Earth. All vessels, cover the flagships. Approach, he ordered. Give them every second we can. The remaining human ships threw themselves at the Vorthak fleet. The Defiance, still under Commander Hyunwoo's command, rammed 3 enemy cruisers. The Nexari ship Crystal Heart used its energy shields to block enemy fire aimed at the flagship. Every vessel in the defense fleet fought with desperate courage, but Emperor Kethmore was not finished. He was aboard the World Ender, watching from the fortress's command center as the human ship approached. Intensify the defensive fire, he ordered. That ship must not reach us. My Emperor, perhaps we should retreat, suggested Admiral Tekfar. The humans are willing to die to stop us. Never, Kethmore roared. I will not be defeated by these primitive mammals. Fire the main weapon now before they can stop us. Sir, the weapon is not fully charged, the weapons officer protested. Fire it anyway. Destroy their planet. The World Ender's massive gun began to fire, but it was not at full power. Instead of completely destroying Earth, the weakened beam would only kill millions of people and devastate entire continents. On the Phoenix Ascendant, sensors detected the enemy weapon firing. The World Ender is shooting at Earth, Youngmi announced. The beam is weakened, but it will still cause massive damage. Captain Minsu felt his heart break. Even if his ship destroyed the World Ender, the beam was already on its way to Earth. Millions of innocent people were going to die. But then something unexpected happened. Hansol, commanding a small squadron of human frigates, threw his ships directly into the path of the energy beam. The vessels were vaporized instantly, but they scattered and weakened the deadly ray. More ships followed. Coalition vessels from across the system moved to intercept the weapon's fire. They knew they would die, but they were buying time for people on Earth to reach safety. The weakened beam struck Earth's moon instead of the planet itself. The ancient satellite was cracked and scarred, but Earth was saved. The beam missed, Chang-ho announced. Earth is safe. The crew of the Phoenix Ascendant cheered, but their mission was not over. They were still flying toward the World Ender, and they were still going to ram it. Sir, we could change course now, Young Sik suggested. Earth is safe. We don't have to die. Minsu thought about it for a moment. They had saved Earth, which was their main goal. But the World Ender was still dangerous. It could attack other worlds. The weapon had to be destroyed completely. Maintain course, he ordered. We finish this. The Phoenix Ascendant was now very close to the World Ender. The enemy fortress filled their entire view screen. Its hull was covered with weapons and armor plating. It looked invincible. All remaining weapons fire at will, Minsu commanded. Let's give them something to remember us by. The flagship's guns blazed one last time. The solar lance fired at point blank range, punching a massive hole in the World Ender's hull. Missile salvos and plasma beams tore into the enemy fortress. Impact in 30 seconds, Young-sik announced. Minsu activated the ship's communication system for the last time. This is Captain Minsu to all ships in the system. It has been an honor to serve with you. Tell Earth that we held the line. Tell them that humanity does not surrender. The Phoenix Ascendant struck the World Ender at full speed. The human ship drove deep into the enemy fortress's core before its remaining ammunition stores exploded. The blast tore the World Ender apart from the inside. The explosion was so bright that it could be seen from Earth's surface. The massive alien weapon, the terror of the galaxy, was destroyed. With it died Emperor Kethmore and thousands of Vorthak soldiers. The remaining enemy fleet was in chaos. Their emperor was dead, their ultimate weapon was gone, and they were surrounded by angry coalition forces. One by one, Vorthak ships began to surrender. Admiral Thekvar, now the highest-ranking Vorthak officer left alive, contacted the human fleet. "This is Admiral Thekvar of the Vorthak Empire," he said. I request terms for surrender." Han Sol was now commanding the human forces. His small frigate had survived the battle, and he was the senior human officer left in the system. "This is Commander Han Sol of Earth Defense Command. I accept your surrender. Order all your ships to power down their weapons immediately." The Battle of Earth was over. The Vorthak Empire's main fleet had been destroyed or captured. Their emperor was dead, and their ultimate weapon was gone. But the victory had come at a terrible cost. The Phoenix Ascendant was gone, along with 35,000 brave crew members. The defense fleet had lost most of its ships. The moon was damaged and parts of Earth had been hurt by debris from the battle. Yet humanity had won. Earth was safe. The Vorthak Empire, which had terrorized the galaxy for centuries, was broken. In the days that followed, news of the victory spread across known space. The Vorthak Empire fell apart as different factions fought for control. Without their emperor and their ultimate weapon, they could not hold their vast territories together. Coalition forces began liberating planets that had been under Vorthak control for decades. Species that had been enslaved were freed. The galaxy was finally at peace. A monument was built in Earth's orbit where the Phoenix Ascendant had once floated. The names of every crew member who died in the battle were carved into metal that would last forever. The inscription read, "They held the line. They saved the galaxy. They proved that humanity will never surrender." Years later, when children asked about the war, they were told about the final spark that ended the endless conflict. It was not a treaty or a negotiation that brought peace. It was the courage of ordinary humans who were willing to die for what they believed in. The galaxy learned that day that humans were different from other species. They did not fight just to survive. They fought to win. They fought to protect the innocent. And when necessary, they fought to the death. The Vorthak Empire was gone. The war was over, and humanity had earned its place among the stars as the species that refused to give up, no matter what the odds. The Phoenix Ascendant was destroyed, but its legacy lived on. It had shown the galaxy that sometimes the final spark in an endless war comes from those who are willing to sacrifice everything for others. Peace had come to the stars, and it would be remembered forever that humans had made it possible.